What's going on, ADK Sports Performance families? Ryan here with this week's Coach's Corner. And this week I wanted to talk about the importance of snacks for athletes in terms of their performance. And if we look at the data, as well as from my own data of talking to athletes that we work with, most athletes aren't eating enough, plain and simple, throughout the day. Their meals aren't big enough, their total caloric intake isn't big enough, and a lot of times it leads to decreased performance in terms of training here at the club, in terms of sports performance in their actual practices, games, as well as academic performance. And so I think a big thing that can be helpful for a lot of athletes when they're on the go so much is making sure that you have snacks available to you, and good snacks, and having those packed and available. So I always recommend to athletes in their school bag, in their sports bags, in the car, things like that, having things like pretzels, fruit, beef jerky, protein bars, things like that readily available. So that way, if they do find themselves stuck and there's going to be a good gap in between when they're having meals, then they aren't without food for 5-6 hours at a time, because that's really going to decrease their performance as well as their recovery from whatever training they've previously done. And it's going to help beef up those calories. And a lot of times what we see is when athletes do get better about having snacks in between meals, or having a little something before training, if it's been a while since they've had lunch or their last meal before training, their performance increases, their mood's a little bit better, and then they're getting better outputs in the gym, they're recovering better, and then that cycle kind of repeats itself, as opposed to the cycle a lot of athletes are currently in, which is they're under eating, and then therefore they're underperforming, they're under recovering, and they rinse and repeat that cycle. So we want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success. So having those things like that beef jerky, pretzels, fruits, things like that that you can store in the car in a bag and it's not going to spoil on you, really can make a huge difference, as well as packing maybe a lunchbox and having some snacks that might not last as long, but again, giving us more options and some good healthy options, as opposed to stopping into the drive-thru and getting fast food. If you have questions on how your athlete can prepare better for their training, their sports, and for school, so that way that they're fueled up and ready to go, feel free to reach out, and we will see you in next week's Coach's Corner.